Okay, we've got a fourth. Aloha. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Kailua Neighborhood Board. It's 7:03. We are called to order. The first order of business in any hybrid meeting is roll call. Emily Andrade. Present. Bruce Andrews.
Present virtually.
Present online. Jennifer Barra. Present. Anna Malia Kia.
Present online.
Present online. Kellyanne Kobayashi. David Laea. Present. Jade Lau. Lavani Lipton.
Present virtually. I lost
Present
my voice.
online. Max Markridge.
Present also virtually.
Present remotely. Kate Ryder.
Present remotely.
Present remotely. Kalama Souza. Malie Tomes. Steve Trecker. Jeremy Trexon. Evan Weber.
Present.
Present. Gary Weller. Present. John White. Donna Wong. Present, and I am present. All right, we have a quorum of 12. 7 in person and 5 remotely. There's a flu going around. Next order of business are announcements. The results of the Kailua Neighborhood Board's annual survey conducted during the I Love Kailua Town Party are posted on our meeting materials drive. The link is in our agenda. And mahalo to everyone who participated. We had 201 responses at the town party, which is the most we've had since before the pandemic. And we've had another handful since then. The deadline for submission by mail is this Sunday. Are there any other announcements tonight? Okay, we have an announcement on the 4th of July happenings, both the parade and the fireworks.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Fry. I represent the Kailua Chamber of Commerce and the Parade Committee for the Independence Day Parade on July 4th. And I'm also representing the Kailua Fireworks Organization for the fireworks on the same day. So essentially on a whole, right? So every 4th of July, it's basically the same schedule. So Kainalu Drive will be closed at 9 o'clock. The permits have been filed and all that. The parade will start at 10 and run until about noon. So traffic control will be posted and cones, et cetera, will be done by GP Roadways. Shuttle service will be provided between Kailua Middle School and on down the parade route. Similarly for the fireworks, again, second verse, same as the first, as it was last year. Fireworks will start at 8. The same street closures, et cetera, additional duty, all that. We do have co-sponsorship pending with the city and county through the mayor's office of economic development, I believe. So
All right. Well, mahalo, Michael. 4th of July this year, I think, is on a Saturday. And this will be the 77th annual parade. And I'm not sure what number we're on for the fireworks, but it's a tradition that kind of reinforces making Kailua a small town. And we appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Are there any other announcements tonight? All right, next order of business are reports from Honolulu Police Department, Honolulu Fire Department, and Ocean Safety. We'll start with HPD. HPD.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Villaflor, the District 4. I'm one of 3 commanders that runs night watch for this district. I introduce my captain here, Acting Major Campbell. And we also have our sergeant here, Sergeant Dawkins. The stats for last month, we had 4 motor vehicle thefts. The previous month was 0. Burglaries, we had 4. The previous month was 2. We had 16 thefts. The previous month was 18. Unauthorized entry to motor vehicle, we had 2. The previous month was 2. And 0 robberies for both months. That's the stats for April and the previous month, March.
Mahalo, it's nice to see HPD out in force tonight. Are there questions for HPD? Donna Wong.
I'd like to know what is the requirement for equipment that is sticking outside of a truck? Do they have to have, I know if we put something in the rear of a truck, personal truck or a car, you have to have a yellow flag. It's the same requirement for equipment, a business equipment?
That's it.
So, good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Campbell, and I'm the captain of District 4, which encompass from Puhuku all the way down. To answer your question, yes, anytime a vehicle is transporting equipment, lumber, things like that, there should be a flag hanging from the back end of it. Is that what you're referring to, ma'am?
Yes. How long from the base of the truck? What is,
I don't know the exact measurements off the top of my head, but that's something I can look up and I'll get back to you this evening.
okay, because on April 30th, I was coming down the gully. It was dusk by 7-Eleven. And I just looked up in front of me and here was this gray mass sticking outside of the truck. Yeah, and it was okay. I mean, I saw it in time. But at dusk, it just sort of blended in and it was really hard to see. And the company is HTM.
Okay, I'm familiar with them and I'm sorry that happened to you. It must have been very alarming, but you're okay and we can follow.
It was a shock because there's absolutely no warning.
Of course. And when, like I said, we can follow up with HTM. I am familiar with that company and what they do, and I'll be happy to give them a call and let them aware of
And
that.
then report back at the next meeting?
I can probably report back to you by tomorrow, ma'am.
Oh, okay. All right. I appreciate it.
All right. And while I'm up here, I just want to let everybody know that starting May 10th through the 30th, we'll be enforcing seatbelts. You guys probably are aware of Click It or Ticket. It's a national campaign. So, let your friends and family know that we'll be out looking for those types of violations specifically. Also, while I'm here, I'd like to mention Act 222. So if you're not familiar with that act, it requires for you to wear a helmet when riding on a moped. Okay. So we have the specifics over here in the corner. I'll be available for any questions. And before HPD leaves, I'd like to introduce Major Bert Soria from the Traffic Division. He has a special message for you folks this evening. Once again, thank you for your time. It's nice to see everybody.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, board members. My name is Major Soria, and I'm from the Major of the Traffic Division. I'm here with my acting captain, Tamara Torres, and my sergeant, Danny Cruz. We're an investigative division. We investigate cases of fatalities and criticals on the freeways and on the roadways. In addition to that, we have our solo bike officers doing enforcement on the highways, especially here on the Kamehameha Highway. I'm here to push the Safer Roads Together campaign from our department, which encompasses three things: enforcement, education, and community outreach. What we are targeting on the enforcement side is speeding, impaired driving, distracted driving, and pedestrian safety violations. So what does that look like? You'll see more saturated patrols on the freeways and within the district, especially here in Kailua. You'll see more DUI checkpoints, especially when we're going into the graduation season. And also you'll see more community outreach, safety outreach from our traffic division to meet with more community members. Again, just to reiterate, from May 10th all the way to the end is click it or ticket. We will have officers there doing seatbelt enforcement statewide. But enforcement alone is only part of the solution. We need the public's help in order to create safer roads here in Hawaii. And what does that look like? We need the community to come together and to report any type of traffic hazards, traffic violations that you see, so we can deploy our officers to that location, and deal with that problem. And secondly, as a driver yourself, we ask that you slow down, stay focused, stay alert, and never drive impaired. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. Other questions tonight for HPD? David Laia.
Thank you. A couple of months ago, there was a burglary where 6 guys ganged up on two guys over at Makapu Point area. Last time I inquired, they had not had any apprehension or anything. Have the people been apprehended and arrested?
I can follow up with you on that case. I can meet with the district commander of that and see what's the follow-up
Okay.
to that, especially with the Criminal Investigations Division.
Is there someone that can share with us a description of the 6 guys who are wearing masks who jumped these 2 guys? So we know what we're looking for as a community?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I'm not familiar with that case. We get several cases in, a daily. I can follow up with our zone lieutenant to review that case, see where it's at. I'll probably be limited in what we can disclose, especially depending on the nature of the crime itself. So I can follow up with you tomorrow and give you some feedback on that specific case. Thank you.
All right, now, are there any questions from the audience tonight for HPD? If you could please use the microphone.
Hey, good evening. My name is Bob Lottie. I live at 322 Kailua Road, right near the intersection with 1 Out Kailua Road. And I'm wondering, I know there's an initiative or at least an experiment with noise cameras ongoing. But I'm wondering if some other sort of enforcement can be done at that or near that intersection from about 4 in the afternoon till roughly 5:30 at night. It has gotten so bad. I don't know why lately. I think I look out there, I see a lot of big trucks and guys wearing, high-vis contractor shirts. I'm not sure it's all contractors, but that's what I see the most. So I'm wondering if there's any sort of enforcement that can be done beyond, the few noise cameras that are out around the city, kind of Honolulu.
If you could use the microphone, please.
Aloha, everyone. So what he's referring to is an initiative that was started with the Department of Transportation. They were doing a project in Waikiki that was measuring sound, especially from things like loud mufflers, like mopeds, et cetera. But generally speaking, noise complaints come from the Department of Health. That's an avenue to look at. Does HPD have any measuring devices? No, we don't. That's something that we've explored in the past. We've approached the prosecutors regarding it, and it's very hard to enforce without calibrated devices and whatnot. So thank you for the question.
The state has noise requirements for mopeds that are tested on the annual safety inspection, but the state has not yet enacted noise standards for motorcycles or other vehicles.
You're absolutely correct, sir. And this is something, I've been doing this job for 24 years now, and I've given my fair share of excessive noise from mufflers. And I've noticed through those experiences, they go to courts if the person doesn't pay that $45 fine, at least back in the days I was citing. They would go to court to contest it, and oftentimes the judicial system would dismiss the citation, or, you know, at a minimum fine and whatnot. So, like I said, I know it is a nuisance, and this is something that is usually directed towards the Department of Health. On the forefront, boots on the ground is something we do get a lot of complaints, and I wish there was a easy solution to it.
Yeah, we had made a recommendation to the State Department of Transportation about 4 years ago that the noise standards for mopeds be extended at an appropriate level for motorcycles, and that the same equipment used to measure mopeds could be used to measure motorcycles. And it was just a question of adding that standard to the motorcycle safety inspection.
I certainly give credit to the Department of Transportation, and they have made it to where you need a safety inspection for a moped. And of course, safety inspection for motorcycles. But if I'm not mistaken, every year during our legislation, there's a group of individuals out there that try to pass a law to get rid of safety inspections and whatnot. So we are headed in the right direction, and it's just a matter of time to really strengthen the laws and getting the correct equipment to be able to measure these types of annoyances.
Okay. Aaron, I can email you what we had submitted before. If you could follow up with the Department of Transportation, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd love it. Thank you.
All right, other questions for HPD? Any questions online? All right, mahalo. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Honolulu Fire Department.
Good evening, everyone. Corey Silva, I'm captain here at Kailua Fire Station. I'm going to read the stats for the month of April. Structure fires, we had 1. Nuisance fires, there were 2, and we had 12 activated fire alarms. We had 89 medicals, 4 motor vehicle collisions. Fire safety tip is wildfire prevention and preparedness. Hawaii is entering a period of increased wildfire risk with dry conditions, tall grass, and shifting winds. 1 spark is all it takes. Most wildfires are human-caused and preventable. Take action today with these tips. Clear dry brush and vegetation around your home. Never park on dry grass. Hot exhaust can ignite it. Avoid activities that create sparks or heat during dry, hot, windy weather. Stay aware of weather and fire conditions. And for more information, visit fire.honolulu.gov and hawaiiwildfire.org. That's all for.
Mahalo. Questions tonight for HFD? Donna Wong.
Does the fire department or the station have a map of Kailua? What areas are more susceptible to fires?
We have the data on that. We just don't have it as a map. Is that what your question is? It's not a map, but we have like the areas, the problematic areas we identified.
Would it be possible to get a copy of that to our chair? So we can show what areas, or we can alert people to the areas in Kailua that are more susceptible to fire?
Yeah, we can do that. I'll follow up. But mainly it's where there's an interface between wildland and residential homes or commercial buildings. So like, you know, the Lanikai area, especially where the homes are up against the hill and there's a dry brush there. That's where we consider the high risk areas.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Captain Silva? Any audience questions? Any questions online? Okay, yeah, if you could share that heat map of areas that are more susceptible to wildfires, we'd appreciate that. We'd want to give it some publicity.
Thank you.
Mahalo. Honolulu Ocean Safety Department.
Good evening, guys. My name is Peter Irwin. I'm the acting lieutenant for District 2 East Side. And as mostly everyone knows, our primary response area is Moanalua Bay to Kaneohe Bay. Our stats for this past month, our attendance was 185,800. Our preventative actions, 16,120. First aids amongst all these beaches were 1,487. Our public contact, 27,200. With the rescues that I'm going to include, we're including from Sandy's to Kailua, a total of 62. Some of our major medical issues that we've had this last month, one of them was a CPR case for an unresponsive male on the beach. CPR administered and a patient regained consciousness and was transported and made a full recovery. As you guys know, we all co-respond and work with HFD, HPD, and DLNR. Some of our HPD assistance that we had is, and we have these several times, is these domestic violence cases at the beaches. We had one at Kailua, domestic violence, male and a female. We also had another one at Waimanalo, same also a male and a female. DLNR was called in Kailua for an unintended lay net that two kayakers had found offshore. Other medicals that were relevant within this last month is we had one broken leg and two spinals at Sandy Beach. We also responded to a call at China Walls for a 22-year-old male that was basically slammed into the wall and had a broken leg. Fire and EMS co-responded with us to help that patient get transported out. Let's see, going on to the marine part of it, which I talked about as we use NOAA and DLNR. NOAA was requested for a monk seal at Sandy's. I think there was two of them this last month. And also NOAA and DLNR were requested for a monk seal being harassed by the beachgoers at Blowhole. And our last one was the DLNR requested for that dead reef shark that washed up at Kailua Beach. And that's our stats for the month. Any questions?
All right, those are huge, huge numbers.
Yeah, they are.
Busy department. Questions for Honolulu Ocean Safety Department tonight? David Laia.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm in the water every day, and mostly Sandy's or Makapu, North Shore. Those guys, ocean safety guys, they save lives on a daily, and I've just heard rumors that they're not being compensated like a first responder.
I think that we were working on that issue. It was brought up to the council to try get. A lot of us didn't even realize that we weren't considered first responders, but I think we're finalizing that, and I think the outcome should be a positive one, which it should be, because we are doing the same
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and so I'm just encouraging you guys to look at this compensation levels for those guys who are risking their lives
Yeah,
every single
absolutely.
day.
Yeah,
Um,
every day.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
100% support.
Thank you.
Gary Weller.
I have a question for you. When the sewage treatment plant has an exceedance that goes into the water in the beaches, like the one that's happened
Yes.
2 days ago, do you notify all the people that are tourists or whatever that they shouldn't be in the water?
Yeah,
How do you
that's-
handle that?
That's one of those situations where unfortunately, we're not able to notify everyone. I think the state health comes down and posts signs. And I think it's up to them also to post on their websites. We will also, if they let us know, we'll post it on our website to let the general public know. But for us to try to go up and down the beach all day would put a big distraction away from our primary duty. It's very unfortunate that we're getting these dumps going on into the bay.
My second part of the question is, we understand from previous experiences that if it's like on Friday night, okay, the Department of Health is already shut down.
Yes.
That night, the sewage treatment plant dumps either Kaneohe Marine Base or our plant dumps into the ocean. They don't tell anybody about it until Monday morning.
Yeah,
So in the
unfortunately.
meantime, so at least they should be telling the lifeguards
Yeah,
that during that period of time, you should be kept out of the water.
I agree. I agree. There's, I'm sure we have things that we could also fix with that communication between departments to let us know on a quicker basis so we're able to get that out to the general public. Because none of us want to be going in the water if it's contaminated with that.
Because this is even dangerous for your staff.
Absolutely. And we've had several of our employees that have done rescues or had to get in the water to help other people get cuts that got infected and it causes loss of hours of work.
About a year ago, this neighborhood board passed a resolution requesting that the Ocean Safety Department and the Department of Parks and Recreation explore general hazard signs at park entrances and at lifeguard stations to include things like box jellyfish and brown water and the other types of common occurrences, presence of turtles, presence of sharks, things like that. And your director had expressed some interest in exploring the feasibility of that. So
Yeah.
if ocean safety can figure out a way to get on board and put these general purpose hazard signs by the lifeguard stations and the park entrances,
Right. Right.
working together with the other agencies, I think it would help to better inform the beach-going public.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of our beaches, if not all of them, are all going to have the initial hazards that the beaches have on a daily basis. As for man o' wars, Portuguese man o' wars, or if there's a shark sighting, if it's aggressive or not, we'll also post those. Man o' wars, as we know on the east side, it's a constant. We always do a survey in the morning to see the number and if it's going to be adequate to post or not, depending on how much we're going to see on shore. But I agree with you, and it's something that we've always done and kept. We either have it at the tower, at the beginning of the beach, or in the beach somewhere. But I understand what you're saying, to have a general look at what's going on.
Yeah, a sign that is in a specific place that's visible that people get used to looking at. That could be more effective than little individual signs that.
Yeah, no,
posted here
absolutely.
there.
And I can let them know and we can see where that goes.
All right. Thank you so much. Are there other questions tonight? Donna Wong.
Do you receive notices from
Yeah,
the
we do.
Department
They're
of
not,
Health?
they're not always so timely, but we do. And if we do, and when we do, we make sure to let Versar know our staff, so we can get it out there to the general public. I'm not too sure if state is putting the signs out when they need to or not. I'm not sure. We see them down there more frequent now. It helps out, but we all know not everyone can read the signs all the time either.
All right, other questions from the audience? Questions online? Okay, mahalo for the report
Thank you
tonight.
guys very much. Have a good night. Appreciate it.
Next order of business are motions from committees. The first one is the Kailua Neighborhood Board recommends that the following conditions be added to the 60 Kaapuni Drive SMA major application before it is approved by the City Council Zoning and Planning Committee, and the various conditions are published in our agenda. Donna Wong, would you like to amplify this motion?
Several years ago, the Department of Planning and Permitting put in a requirement that anybody who needs an SMA, a special management area permit major, needs to appear before the Kailua Neighborhood Board. So they come and they give the board a presentation, and then the applicant or the representative attends Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee, and we review what is being proposed. And we've come up with a list of issues that we think that are important that should be added to any approval that's given to a permit to protect the beach, to protect EV, to protect wildlife. And so that's what this is. This is a list of those suggestions.
All right, any discussion on the motion? Any discussion online from the audience? All right, I call for the vote. Emily Andrade.
Aye.
Aye. Bruce Andrews.
Abstain.
Abstain. Jennifer Berra. Aye. Anna Malia Kia. Aye. Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Yes.
Aye. David Laea. Aye. Jade Lau. Lavani Lipton.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Matt Smartrich.
Abstain.
Abstain. Kate Ryder. Aye. Kalama Souza. Malia Tomes. Steve Trecker. Jeremy Treskin. Evan Weber. Aye. Gary Weller. Aye. John White.
Aye.
Aye. Donna Wong. Aye. Chair votes aye. All right, the motion passes 12 in favor, none against, and 2 abstentions. We have a second committee motion tonight. The Kailua Neighborhood Board supports Bill 53 for the following reasons, which are listed in the agenda. Donna Wong, would you like to add any amplification to this motion?
So I'm sure everybody has seen the 60-foot apartment building that's gone up on across from the intermediate school, excuse me, the elementary school. And so this board and the community were basically unaware of it because there's no requirement that affordable housing projects notify the Kailua Neighborhood Board or any residents. And so Bill 53 puts in that requirement that an applicant has to present any affordable rental housing project to the Kailua Neighborhood. And in addition, the bill requires one parking space for every 2 units because the 60-foot affordable housing development does not have any on-site parking. So I hope the board supports this motion.
All right, mahalo. Is there any discussion? Emily Andrade.
Yeah, I was just curious why one parking space for every 2 units versus one for every 1 unit. Just curious on the thinking behind that.
That's what the board bill says. And so it's better than to make arrangements changes, just go with that.
Fair enough, thanks.
We have supported one parking space for every 1 housing unit in the past. Depending on the nature of the project, sometimes the requirement is 0. So this bill would at least put a minimum of 1 for every 2 units. Other discussion? Any discussion online? John White.
Thank you, Chair. And what is the plan for the overflow for every other unit? Is that just to find metered parking in that area, or just fill in on the quote unquote unimproved sidewalks around Kailua town?
The question is, when a project is completed and there's inadequate on-site parking, what are residents with additional vehicles in that project supposed to do? Park on street, on unimproved sidewalks? Donna, would you like to take a stab at that?
Well, it has been said, and I won't say by who, that people who live in affordable apartments don't have cars. I didn't say that, not me. But that's one of the rationales that we've heard. We've heard from people in the community that don't have adequate planning in the senior citizen housing behind Zippies, and they don't have enough parking, and so it's a big issue. So, why more parking isn't required, heck if I know, but this bill's going to provide 1, 2 spaces as a requirement. That's better than none.
Max Markrich.
Thanks, Bill. Donna, could you talk a little bit about the discussion that went on at the committee in discussing this bill? And could you help us understand what the potential bill impacts would be? For instance, how much more expensive does adding parking create for the rental units? Or how much more space is required for buildings if they introduce parking? And how many units are needed in Kailua or on the island?
Did you hear that, Donna? Okay, Max, that was difficult to hear here in the room, but I think your question was pertaining to similar to John White's question of excess vehicles and where do they park? Is that correct?
Sorry, no, I was asking how much more expensive does adding parking as a requirement make building housing units?
The question is, what is the baseline requirement for number of vehicle parking spaces on site relative to the number of units in a normal circumstance, not an affordable housing requirement, but for a normal building project? Do we know what the city's requirement is?
To my
Jennifer,
knowledge-
Jennifer Barra?
His question is, how much more expensive is affordable housing unit when you have to have parking for every resident? That was his question. So, I mean, I was in the committee meeting. We talked generally about affordable housing in general. We talked about the projects that are in Kailua. We talked about the need for parking. And so, I mean, I can't give you specifics. We did not go into depth on the cost per unit or anything like that. But I guess that's a question that people can research on their own, or, you know, I don't know.
Is affordability a concern for the committee in pushing this motion?
Yeah, I have heard numbers of like $50,000 per parking space in a new development. So it's a significant additional cost. Other questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience wish to make a comment? Yes, sir, if you could use the microphone, please.
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, I think both parking and affordable housing are big problems or challenges for Kailua. Are there any metrics as to which one is the greater problem, affordable housing versus parking? Thank you.
Yeah, they're both issues. We need more affordable housing, absolutely. We need more parking, absolutely. John White.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I do have a little bit of knowledge on this. Generally, when these projects go out, if it's going to be affordable, they give a little bit of variance, and then they can build more living space under the roof where it would have been taken up by parking garage or parking spaces. There's definitely a big relief on the cost, but that the cost comes elsewhere, usually on these items where now you're going to find more cars on the surface streets and encroaching into the neighborhood. Sometimes something we talked about when we're talking about that old folks home going up next to old Andy's over there. But I just wanted to speak on a concern from a parent from one of the students at the school across the street, Kailua Elementary, that just worried that there's gonna be a larger influx of traffic in that area because of that. But everybody got to always take into consideration, if you guys really want affordable, and so some things got to give and you got to have compromise. So thank you guys for all your hard work in the committee. That's all I had, Chair.
Okay, mahalo. Any other discussion? Evan Weber.
It's my understanding that the provisions of this bill would apply to the whole county. Is that correct? To the whole county?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, these are complex issues. But I will be voting no on this measure as it is currently written. I am all for requiring these buildings to notify neighborhood boards as other projects similar to them are. But I think a blanket application of these parking and resident manager restrictions across the whole island, it could be right for Kailua. I think there's space for debate around that. But they might not be right for urban Honolulu or the places where they're planning development around the rail, where they're trying to really build out more multimodal transportation. And so when we're in a housing crisis, I just think these blanket requirements can have counter effects that I don't know that. Yeah, I won't be supporting the resolution as written. If it were more narrow about having these projects present to the neighborhood board so that each community has the opportunity to give input. I think that's been the real problem here in Kailua, and I totally support that. So just want to be transparent about that.
Okay, Bruce Andrews.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I agree with Evan. I think the bill as written, um, it's too one size fit all, right? No one's moving from the island because of the parking issues, but people are definitely moving away because of the affordable housing issues. So I think that's lesser two evils is definitely um, the parking issue, right? So I don't agree with putting a one size fit all, another 2-for-1 for parking. So I'm going to be voting against this as well, and appreciate the subcommittee doing the work to get after this one, but just Bill 53 writ large, I just can't get with it. Thank you.
Donna Wong.
This is a bill. It's not a resolution. It's coming out of the city council. So it's open to every community, every person on the island. It's not specific to Kailua. Kailua Neighborhood Board is specific to Kailua. We should be looking out for the interests of all the residents of Kailua, and that's what we're trying to do with this motion.
Emily Andrade.
Thanks, Evan, and thanks, Donna, for this florid conversation. I do wonder, what is it that the bill proposes the neighborhood board do? Are we just hearing it? It's a place to discuss it with public? Is it, there's another vote that yes or no? I mean, I just am curious what.
Well, the idea behind the neighborhood board notification requirement is to give the neighborhood board the opportunity to have a presentation, to expand community awareness, to receive community input, and if there's a groundswell of opinion, an opportunity to express that to DPP or, if necessary, the city council. So it's just to provide more visibility on a project of this nature. Jennifer Barra.
I just want to make a comment that just like this bill might be, I guess, one size fits all or not one size fits all, and that there's worries expressed about communities not in Kailua and it affecting them. These bills, in the way they're written, affect Kailua because when you look at the height limit, and this is not in the bill, but that's another issue that's also tied up in this whole bill. I can't remember what the bill number is, but is that, the height limit, it goes against what Kailua wanted and lets people, build higher than what the Kailua community agreed upon. So I just want to make it's both sides. Just want to say that. Thank you.
All right, other discussion. David Laia.
Thank you. I think you're raising a good point. The primary need for this bill is for the neighborhood board to be made aware of some of these building projects that are getting through, like the 60-foot building that never got to us. And I think getting one parking stall for every 2 units is better than none. So it's not intended to be a one size fits all, but it at least moves the intent of having some parking issues addressed when you come in with an affordable housing project. So I think it is very important for Kailua and other neighborhoods to be able to see what these proposed projects are and to be able to address height limits and parking and a number of other issues that I'm sure are going to be existing. So I'm in favor of it.
Bruce Andrews.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that when I was saying my opinion that it was with, Kailua squarely in mind. We have definitely a affordability problem here in Kailua, so adding restrict or constraints such as, hey, thou shall have more parking and X, Y, and Z is going to add to the cost, right? So that way it's going to make it less cost effective for developers to build these affordable housing units, right? We're not talking about not affordable condos. We're talking about affordable housing units for this bill. So adding more of that policy, more of the constraints is going to drive up those costs and make it least likely that we build in Kailua. And that's my concern.
All right, any other discussion online? Any residents in attendance? Councilmember Kiana, it's going to come before you. Any comment you'd like to make?
I actually checked the legislative history. It went to the Housing Committee. But in general, I think I can understand the concept, but I don't believe this bill is moving anywhere. So if you're trying to deal with the issue at hand, because there's various affordable housing projects in Kailua right now, you didn't have a problem with an affordable housing project on Kihapai, right? But with regard to the 330 Kule, you are talking about a Bill 7 project that was in 2019 before I came into office. And that allows, despite the sustainability plans, that a building can go up to 60 feet. I tried to explain a couple of months ago, but I probably didn't do a good job about the two bills that hit to the heart of what's going on. And that is my bill, Bill 17, which says that it has to be, a Bill 7 project has to be the underlying zoning or 60 feet, whichever is less. Bill 18, introduced by Councilmember Tupola, is the underlying zoning for 60 feet or more. Meaning if in another area, not in Kailua, because the projects would be 40 feet here. Others, it could be over 100 feet, and in certain districts up to 450 feet, right? So I guess what I'm telling you is the city council at the moment that is where the battle is on Bill 7 projects, and we're at a standstill. My preference is that no bill move forward if in fact Bill 18 tries to get passed. I will do everything in my willpower to kill that bill. And I'm not asking you guys to take a position, but when I need help, I'll let you guys know so that you guys could help. So you need to know that the Honolulu City Council, I know you guys care about things being presented to you. Under the Bill 7 process, the Honolulu City Council does have no role in it. It's the complete discretion of DPP. So I just want to make that clear to you. Not all affordable housing projects come to the City Council. So I still believe this is a very healthy dialogue, so I will not comment on the recommendation, but I just want to tell you with what we're dealing with. The battle is over Bill 7 projects, and this is more of a blanket. And while I appreciate it, it was introduced last year and it's not moving anywhere. So I don't think that the council has the appetite for this because we are arguing over Bill 7 projects, which is at the heart of what we're dealing with here in Kailua. So that's my only comments.
Okay, mahalo.
Okay, with that,
So Bill 53 would apply everywhere, and in the current session, there's a disconnect in Bill 7 from 2019 that puts a 60-foot height limit on Bill 7 projects, which are a niche within 20,000 square feet for affordable housing. And that's at odds with the community sustainability plans. And so Bill 17 would ask that Bill 7 projects honor the in-place sustainability plan height limits. And Bill 18 would exempt Bill 7 projects from sustainability plan height limits, and in fact, open them up to even higher limits in more urban areas. So that's our understanding as well. Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion? Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Yeah, I was just wondering, well, actually it was in response to what Councilmember Kia Aina was saying about these other bills. So do any of those address like the kinds of issues that we were trying to get at with supporting Bill 53, which was parking and like notification, public notification? Is that at all addressed in Bill 17 or 18?
No, Bill 17 and 18 both focus on what do you use for building heights in order to resolve the conflict in Bill 7 where a standard was set in Bill 7, but it's in conflict with the community sustainability plans. And so 17 and 18 are both focused on resolving the building height issue in order to provide clarity and resolve that conflict. All right, other discussion, Donna Wong.
Yes, if the chair of the council zoning committee is not going to hear Bill 53. Oh, it's in housing.
Okay, so for the advantage of those on Olelo, Councilmember Kiana said Bill 53 does not appear to be moving because the focus currently is on Bills 17 and 18. Other discussion? All right, any audience comments? All right, I call for a vote. Emily Andrade. No. Bruce Andrews.
No.
No. Jennifer Barra. Yes. Ana Malia Kia. No. Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Abstain.
Abstain. David Laea. Yes. Jade Lau. Lavani Lipton.
Yes.
Yes. Max Markrich.
No.
No. Kate Ryder.
Abstain.
Abstain. Kalama Souza. Malia Tomes. Steve Trecker. Jeremy Truskin. Evan Weber. No. Gary Weller. Yes. John White.
Abstain.
Abstain. Donna Wong. Yes. And chair votes aye. The motion does not carry with 6 in favor, 5 opposed, and 3 abstentions. Next order of business are the local agency reports. Board of Water Supply is unable to have a representative this evening, but their report was provided and it's on our meeting materials. Marine Corps Base, Hawaii.
Hello, everyone. Aloha, I'm Megan Ostrom. I am the new Director of Government Affairs, Community Engagement, and Communications at Marine Corps Base Hawaii. And I'm here for Christy Kaluhiba tonight. Just a couple of updates to share with you all. Number one, something to be aware of coming up this summer, every 2 years, the Rim of the Pacific RIMPAC training exercise happens. That's led by the commander of Pacific Fleet, but it does take place all across the area here, and there are some activities that happen at Marine Corps Base Hawaii. So that'll be happening starting at the end of June and then go through the month of July. More information will be coming out about that, but just always want to make sure that our community knows well in advance that there'll be a little more activity just around our entire state during that training. And then second, kind of happy, sad news. As with the military, people come and go. We do have a new commanding officer coming in. So in about 2 weeks, Colonel Bevan's tenure at Marine Corps Base Hawaii will be coming to a close. We've all really appreciated his leadership, his commitment to our community as a whole, bringing us all together, and even his participation here. Thank you all for being so welcoming to him when he's had the opportunity to join these meetings. We have our new commanding officer coming in, Colonel Stephen DeTrenis. Very excited to have him here. He's actually been in Hawaii for a bit, so he's not new to our community, and just look forward to welcoming him into his new role. That's what I have for you tonight.
All right. Well, Megan, congratulations on your promotion. Will you be the person who will usually be representing to the neighborhood board?
So we're kind of thin on our team right now, and we do plan on kind of sharing our responsibilities. Marine Corps Base Hawaii, we attend 5 neighborhood boards across the state, and I only have 1 community relations individual. So you may see me, you may see Christy, you may see one of our Marines here, but we are committed to continuing to provide information to our communities in which we have a presence.
All right. I seem to recall that during RIMPAC, pretty typically at one point or another during July, Bellows Beach will be affected by RIMPAC activities. Do we expect that this year as well?
So the Marine Corps Training Area Bellows, which does include the beach area during the week, Monday through Friday, it is a active training area that is closed to the public, but it does open up on the weekends. At this time, we have not moved forward with closing the beach on the weekends, but if that does happen, we'll coordinate accordingly through the city and county of Honolulu and provide proper notice to the community.
All right. Will there be an air show this year?
No air show this year.
Okay.
A lot going on with the RIMPAC.
Yes, I understand. Questions for Megan and Marine Corps Base Hawaii? Donna Wong.
Yes, in RIMPAC in the past, they've had to close the beach and if I remember right, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, that they had to postpone activities because of honu nesting.
Yes,
And-
so the honu nesting is a season that happens every year. It's taken very, very seriously by the Marine Corps and our environmental department, which monitors for nesting activity and marks those nests. It is something, training is not stopped by the turtle nesting, but all the proper precautions and environmental measures are in place to ensure maximum protection for those endangered species in accordance with all the laws and regulations, and then enabling our training to continue to occur. So that would be regardless of a RIMPAC year or a non-RIMPAC year.
I have another question about the sewage spill that occurred on the 6th. It was our understanding that the wastewater plant on base was being upgraded, improved, something. And so I want to know, why have you had 2 spills?
So first, the upgrades have not yet occurred yet, but the upgrade is planned, and thankful to our members of Congress, we have been awarded funding for those projects. So those are projects that are coming in the near future. These spills happen, unfortunately, not unlike the city and county facilities or the state facilities. Exceedances due to heavy rain, so additional inputs into the system. These are also aging facilities, hence the need for the replacement and the upgrades to a higher level of treatment, so an R1 level of treatment, R2 level of treatment, where that we can use that water on the installation for other purposes. I will speak to the notifications about the releases that happen. Per our permits with the Department of Health, we are required to notify them within a certain period of time of that release happening, which we did and which we do. Then they issue a groundwater notice. So if anyone is signed up for those notifications through the Department of Health, you'll get that email to your phone. And also, I did notice with this one and other past releases, Department of Health is very quick to then post that graphic on their social media channels and other communication channels, just as you're showing there on the screen.
Yes, but you see the whole bay, it impacts the whole bay. So does the base have, plant have its own outfall, or does this all go through the Aikahi plant and then out that one outfall into the ocean?
It is a shared outfall. So by the time the wastewater enters the shared outfall, it has completed its treatment. But if there is an exceedance, that's where they test it before it reaches that point. So
Pretty typically, when there are exceedances, and the exceedance is based on what goes into the pipe, pretty typically, these exceedances, when they are occurring, when measurements do get taken in the bay, in the vicinity of the outfall, pretty typically the in-water measurements in the bay are within standards.
yeah, so I'll have to follow up on that, but I believe the testing spots are not out in the bay. The testing spots are
Yes.
locations, and that zone is really out of an abundance of caution, very similar to if something were to happen with the Kailua wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, the exceedance is based on what goes into the pipe.
Yes.
But when that goes out of the pipe, there's mixing with the surrounding water and dilution that occurs.
But is there, when it overflows into the pipe and with the pipe is overwhelmed because of this time, because of the rain, is there any treatment for the sewage?
So I'll have to follow up on that question. As
Okay.
far as like the level of treatment, if there's no treatment or some treatment, because you can have treatment that occurs and yet still have an exceedance if something wasn't quite right. So we'll need to follow up on that.
Okay, thank you.
The city plant is about 10 times larger than the Marine Corps base plant. Pretty typically, the city plant handles about 10 million gallons per day of sewage. But during heavy rainfall periods, the city's wastewater treatment plant in Kailua will handle 25 million gallons a day, 2.5 times the normal amount, because of storm water that seeps into the sewage pipes. And that very high volume overwhelms the capacity of the treatment facility to fully treat the water, which is where the exceedances occur.
Yes, I understand that. But when you look at this, it's the same coverage of warning that when you have a bypass from Aikahi. So if it's supposed to be less water comes out and is discharged from the marine base, I would have expected this to be less rather than the same amount. Way to Lanikai.
Oh, the geographic area represented, yeah, that's the Hawaii State Department of Health applies that whenever there is an exceedance that enters the pipe. Out of an abundance of caution, as Megan mentioned, the Hawaii State Department of Health issues warnings for the entire bay. And a question from Lavani Lipton is, what's the timeline for completion of the upgrades to the Marine Corps base sewage system?
So I'll have to come back with that detailed information. They did complete the environmental review, so that NEPA document, the environmental assessment for the upgrade that was completed last year. So that's good news for us. That means we've made it through that regulatory element, but now moving into contracting, construction, all of those things. That's information that we'll definitely bring back to the board once we have that information available to us.
All right, thank you. Other questions for Marine Corps Base Hawaii this evening? Any questions online? Any questions from the audience? All right, mahalo, Megan.
Gary's got his.
Oh my goodness, Gary Weller.
I wanted to thank the base commander and everyone that's involved in allowing the group that I belong to, the Seacoast Defense Study Group, to come on the base next Saturday. So whoever was made the final decision on that, I talked to a lot of people on the base to try to get that done, and I'm looking forward to seeing all three sites again. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is an update for Alexander and Baldwin. Dana Harvey, the Director of External Affairs.
Hi there. Good evening. My name is Dana from A&B. I'm just here to share a few special event and operational updates with the board and the community. I saw several of you at the I Love Kailua Town Party, so we were proud to be part of that, and it was nice to see you all there. Looking ahead, A&B will again sponsor the 4th of July shuttle service between the Kailua Town Parking Garage and Kailua Beach Center. So we'll provide some additional information to the board so you can post it in your agenda next time. The shuttle will run from 4:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. with service every 30 minutes. We're also excited to bring back Symphony in the Park on Tuesday, July 14th at 5:30 p.m. This is a free, family-friendly, full orchestra concert at Kailua District Park. And we will also be on site helping, so we'll see you there. And in September, we will be the site host for the Kailua Emergency Preparedness Fair. That's on Saturday, September 12th from 9 to noon. And later in the month, we look forward to the Kailua Fall Fest on Saturday, September 26th from 4 to 10. And that will also be held in the Kailua Town Center parking garage. So as a reminder, we have several ongoing monthly events. I Love Hula, the first Sunday of every month. Kanikapila in Kailua, the second Saturday of every month. Heikili Street Sidewalk Sale, that is on the last Saturday of every month. And the Kailua Farmers Market, in partnership with the Hawaii Farm Bureau, held every Thursday evening. And so you can find more information at kailuatownhi.com. Okay, in terms of tenant updates, we welcome several new businesses to Kailua, including restaurants, Sunset Noodle House, New Kamana Kitchen 3, and Lotus Cafe. We've also opened iCenter Hawaii, Center for Healing, Remax Hawaii, Game Day Men's Health, Revolt Studio and Harley Davidson. And we are looking forward to opening Club Pilates soon. And I just wanted to note that, while store and restaurant closures often make headlines, the openings I just mentioned reflect the natural life cycle of commercial real estate. Importantly, locally owned businesses continue to make up more than 80% of A&B's Kailua tenancy. And we do recognize that they help define Kailua's unique character. So surveying the Poly Lanes property is a critical step that we have shared with you at the end of last year. We started some work to investigate and understand what can be done on the property. And, hopefully by the end of this year, we will be able to share some ideas about what might be possible and I guess answer the question, what's happening at Poly Lanes? But we did undertake quite a bit of soil testing and investigative work, not only in the Poly Lanes property, but property-wide across Kailua. And then finally, I was asked to briefly touch on A&B's new ownership. On March 12th, A&B was acquired and taken private through a joint venture led by Blackstone, MW Group, and Divco West. So the ownership structure has changed. However, day-to-day operations remain business as usual. The Hawaii-based leadership team remains in place, myself included, and the property management team serving Kailua and the Windward area has not changed. And with that, I think that's all I have to share, and I'm happy to answer any questions from the board.
All right, questions for Dana tonight? Online questions? Questions from members of the audience? All right, I was trying to call up the annual survey results.
I've got it, Bill, up here. I was just pulling it up as well.
One of the questions was, what would you like to see done with Poly Lanes? And we included 4 options. And certainly there could be other options. And I think I forwarded a copy of the survey to you. But Evan, could you read off the numbers for each of the 4 options?
Yes. So the question again, as Bill said, was what would you like to see in the now closed Poly Lanes bowling alley, which is on the State Historic Register? And Bill, can you clarify if people were allowed to choose multiple options or was it one only?
No, there were 4 options.
Were they able to choose multiple options?
Yes, and some people selected more than one, so the numbers will add up to more than the number of surveys.
Great. So the number 1 response with 102 responses was bowling.
Okay.
So we, the people of Kailua have some ideas of what they'd like to see happen in this building as well. The number 2 response was open space park with 92 responses. Number 3 with 74 responses was restaurants, and number 4 with 41 responses was retail shops. So we already have a lot of retail shops in Kailua, so that makes sense. But maybe some combination of those top 3 could be nice.
Gotcha. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an unscientific survey, but another data point.
Yep, exactly. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thanks for calling that up, Evan. Question, Evan Weber.
Yeah. Mahalo, Dana. Nice to see you. Nice to see you 2 weeks ago was as well at the I Love Kailua Festival. Yeah, we always really appreciate you coming here and be having a presence at these meetings. And I think my question is kind of about that generally. I know it's probably hard for you to answer, but I think I'll try to make them easier for you to answer, but the with the kind of leadership change, I think there's been a lot of concern, what's going to happen. And I think a general feeling that everybody feels, not just in Kailua, but in Hawaii, that there's a lot of things that are happening outside of our control. And in a small town, that, many multi-generational residents, there's been a lot of change. And we hope that, kind of the stores that we grew up with and the nature of the town and the people that we grew up with can stay here and not have outside forces pushing them out. And so, there was a transfer from Kaneohe Ranch to Alexander and Baldwin. Now there's this new transfer and buyout and ownership structure. And I think the question that a lot of us are kind of asking is, where's the community in sort of these decisions that are being made about the town? And so I think the question as there's now even potentially less accountability from this new ownership structure, what can be done to provide community input into A&B's decisions, or whatever you guys are going to be called in the future as decisions about Kailua, because owning 90% of a downtown, that is a unique setup for any landowner. And so I think that the hope and expectation is that we're treated uniquely as well, and that the relationship between the landowner and the people of the town and the community is one of input, consultation, and respect and coexistence. The businesses and the income that you all receive from the people here, that comes from us in part, and we need each other to continue.
Okay. So just to clarify, it's a new ownership structure, but the leadership structure is the same. So our CEO is the same, local, born and raised, people making decisions, the entire leadership team. None of that has changed. And Kailua is unique, and unique to the Windward portfolio. We have a team on site. This is unique to, again, these Windward properties. We own Waianae Mall, we own Pearl Highlands. We don't have staff on site, but here in Kailua, we do. We have a team of 5. Most of them live, no more than a couple miles away from the Hikili Street office. So they're in the community, they're around the community, they're here every day. So, we certainly are open always to input and communication. I guess my question to you might be, or maybe we can think about this a little more, is what type of input are you looking into? Like with leasing decisions, or like what kind of input?
Yeah, I mean, I think no one's asking to have a fine pen over every store that gets opened up or whatever. But I think the Poly Lanes building is a great example, right? We're being told that there's surveying occurring, and that you're going to tell us your plans by the end of the year, or your potential plans or ideas. So
I don't mean to interrupt, but the surveying is not something we would normally solicit community input on. We need to understand what the conditions are, and then develop some ideas based on that, and understand it, not only what can be done, but if anything can be done with that property. So that's something we have moved forward with. And then with that, we will try to understand what can be done, what's cost effective. And then again, we have committed over years to engage with the community, our ideas and thoughts, and, solicit suggestions and opinions to as best we can, while ensuring that we can, the business can survive.
yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, we can leave it at this, but I think with poly lanes, the last time that you received pushback over this, it was basically because ideas were presented without community input.
100%.
And it's May now, end of the year is in 6 months or so. So hopefully we've moved past that, and what can we expect in terms of process around community input before those ideas are presented?
Right. And you know what? I will tell you, the company learned from that. Obviously we heard loud and clear what the community's vision was, and we stopped and took a pause, and then COVID happened and it took some time, but please know that the community was listened to. And we are now restarting this investigation into what we might be able to do with that historic building, understanding environmental, financial, and other constraints.
All right, Gary Weller.
Last meeting, we had a presentation on Chick-fil-A. And are we going to have more input on it? Because it was just a notification of basically what they were going to do. No real diagrams or how traffic patterns were going to work or anything like that. Are they going to keep us informed of what's going on? And because it would be great if they came to the environmental committee meeting and gave a good presentation.
My understanding is, yes, they will be here as soon as they have more to share, and that their intention is to attend Donna Wong's committee, provide more information and solicit input there.
Donna Wong.
So since the transition of acquisition by Blackstone, so I have been talking with the representative for Chick-fil-A. So I want to know, who's they talking with for the landowner? Is it A and B or Blackstone?
Oh, it's A and B.
Is A and B? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, other questions for Dana and A and B tonight? Any online? Any audience questions? All right, mahalo for the update.
Thank you. See you soon.
We move on to resident and community concerns. Please use the microphone and try to limit comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Frank Nyros. I've lived in Kailua for 41 years. I'm the guy whose house was flooded over there on Kailua Road by the 12-inch water main break on the 28th of March. Midnight on the 28th, 12-inch water main burst out in the street. The water from the pipe made a hole in the road approximately 20 foot wide by 6 to 8 foot deep. The dirt that was in that hole was washed into my yard with sand. It created a pile of sand I estimate to be approximately 100 cubic yards. 100 cubic yards, people. That's like 30 foot wide by 40 foot long by 3 foot high. That's how much sand was in my yard from that hole. It took the Board of Water Supply 6 hours for their man on a backload or whatever you want to call it, to drive in and out of my yard, taking that sand, throw it back into the hole. The water from the hole filled my yard, My yard is probably in the front, half the size of this room. It filled the yard 3 foot high. That's up to my thighs. And what wasn't water was sand. Back of my yard had approximately 1.5 feet of water. The yard, 150 foot deep by 100 foot wide. You can envision the amount of water that was blown out of that pipe. Following day, first thing, of course, is to try to get the insurance company to come up with a claim number. My insurance company was Allstate, had them 41 years. 41 years I've had a homeowner's policy, and then after Iniki, I had the hurricane insurance policy. At first, Allstate gave me a claim number, and even reached the point where they sent me an email on the 3 hotels that my daughter and myself could select one of to move to Waikiki to get out of that house in the case of mold. 2 days later, Allstate sent another email saying, claim is denied, that I don't have flood insurance. Flood insurance to me is sort of like the act of God type thing. You're either in a stream or you've got the tsunami, which is exactly what I thought was happening when I woke up at midnight of 28. And my feet landed in 4 inches of water on the floor of my house. And then I looked out through the door. I saw the cop out in the road yelling, waving. And then in my underwear, I walked out of my bedroom into my carport. When I stepped down into the carport, I was in another 6 inches of water. So then in the carport, I was 10 inches deep. Still couldn't hear what the cop was trying to say to me. Kept moving out. 20 foot from the carport, it was over my knees. Unable to hear what the cop's saying, I kept moving out, and my German Shepherd dog swimming beside me. I got out just about to the middle of the yard where the sand had all been forced in and was piled 3 foot. As I started to climb up the pile of sand to get close to my gate, which now had 3 foot of sand on each side of the gate and couldn't be opened, a rush of water came through the gate, flipped my dog who was swimming over, sucking the dog under, rolling her back. Anyway, I got the dog back on the foot, and that was no issue. I went over and I woke my daughter up that was sleeping at the other end of the house. She was fine. As I moved through the house, I'd been turning on lights, not really knowing what I was doing. At some point, I thought, my God, I'm going to get us all electrocuted. So I was back out into the water, yelling to the cops to get HECO to turn off the electricity, and which they did, thinking that HECO would turn it off from the outside. The HECO guy showed up 10 minutes later, but he couldn't get in. He couldn't get in. What he wanted to do was go to the house and turn off the main breaker. So he climbed over the fence and he shut it off. That was fine. That took us through the day. The next morning, my electrical cables underground had been compromised. So HECO had someone up in a bucket truck on the pole, going to run me new lines until they could dig a trench and put wires in there for me. This was HECO. Trying to get the Board of Water Supply to reply, and I see that the Board of Water Supply didn't come tonight. They must have seen me on Channel 2, who for the second time in 2 weeks ran a clipping or a 5 or 10 minute sequence of what had happened out there at my house and my neighbors. Anyway, that's where I stand. I stand with my claim being denied by my insurance companies and by the Board of Water Supply. And I'm at a complete loss as to what to do. I called the mayor, I called my Senator Lee, I called Representative Lee, I called the Vietnam Veterans Association, et cetera, et cetera. My house is now reduced from a four bedroom, 3 bath house to a 1 bedroom, 1 bath house. 3 of the bedrooms, the wet carpet has been removed, but I don't know what's growing in the walls. I can't seem to really get any recognition from anybody to get this thing resolved, except us. It's my fault for not having flood insurance. I live in Kailua Road up there. I thought the dividing line was sort of Kainala. If you're Makaya Kainala, you could have flood insurance. If you're Mocha, What do you need flood insurance for? You're not near a river, you're not gonna get washed away. But the warning to anybody here, if you don't have flood insurance, you better get it. You're never gonna know when these pipes are gonna break out there on the road and that the Board of Water Supply isn't gonna do a thing like it. And I look back, in the last 2 years, there's been 3 breaks of water main, one down here in Callahale, roughly near the intersection of Kootenai Road and Callahale, probably 500 foot closer to the, on the Lanakai side. The pipe burst in the middle of the road. The guy on the beach side was flooded out, but I believe he had flood insurance in addition to his homeowner's policy. So I think he was covered. I don't know. Then I know that there was another issue on the pipe business when they were doing the roundabout up at Kalapalai. They had problems with defective pipes or something. Finally, there was another broken water main on Kailua Road, just Mackay of Kainalu here. 3 houses down from Kainalu and Kailua Road, on the Lake side, there was a main break in the middle of the road, and that sent water into a housing houses area. And that house, like mine, is approximately 3 foot lower in elevation than the road. Kailua has no sewage, so there's no place for water to go, except into people's yards. If you happen to be one of those people that your elevation is lower than the roads, and it almost looks like when the Kootenai track was designed, my yard and the guy on the beach side next to me, our yards were designed as a catchment for the water running off of the island where the big tree is in the road there. You get that water so that it wouldn't puddle up in the traffic intersection. And then when they took the 20-foot setback off the road, and of course it became our field. I don't know what you guys can do. I don't know how we can help you. Or I see the Board of Water Supply guy was here. I'd ask him some questions. It takes a lot of something to get that Board of Water Supply to guide.
Well, yeah, our Steve Trecker is our board member who's probably got the most legal experience. He's not with us this evening. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express, but it seems as though flood insurance makes sense, and that would be the fastest and easiest way, but you don't have it. Then I think it then reverts to a normal legal system.
Why would you need?
No, I understand. I understand. And then I think the next recourse is legal action against the Board of Water Supply. They caused the problem. The problem caused damage to your property. It would logically, from this layman's perspective, that is probably what you're going to need to pursue. Senator Lee, do you have comment on this?
Just as you had speak just for a moment, because this kind of hits home. About a year ago, I went through something similar, not with the Board of Water Supply, but with a flooding situation that forced gutting of basically the entire place, which is like 5-6 months to even just get back into a place. I was couch surfing on a friend's place, fortunately, but insurance would not cover despite flood insurance and so on and so forth. Looking into this situation, I don't want to speak for any of the other colleagues who've been working on this, but it's clear this isn't the only county where that's an issue. On other counties, similar situations, similar processes. One of the things that we have been talking about on our end is 2 things. On the state side, we have, depending on the situation, processes where we do basically reimburse or try to make it right situations like this. Not universally, but some processes are there. And so we've talked about so far is how do we ensure that situations, whether it's the Board of Water Supply here in this case, which is city agency, or any other state agency like it, that we ensure that they take responsibility for something that is, basically an unjust imposition on any property owner or anyone living in a regular place who ends up footing the bill, especially at a time when it's basically impossible to get reasonably priced insurance that would cover situations like this. So on our side, what would be helpful as we kind of look at this, and we're already working, it's too late this legislative session to do anything since we're done tomorrow. But for the future, is either requiring on the county side some sort of action or some sort of resolution for situations like this where you have funding set aside, or on the state side for ourselves, looking at our own processes. But regardless, I think what would be helpful from the board this next few meetings as this process continues is some sort of statement for not just this particular individual, but the set of residences that were affected, so that we can have that to really just arm ourselves with to be able to go to either the board in this case or others and basically say, look, there's got to be some sort of fix. Because what we discovered throughout this is that, and I wasn't even aware of this, this is clearly not an isolated case and it happens regularly. So there's obviously a huge unresolved issue there.
Thank you. And something else I would add is that the Public Utilities Commission establishes rules for public utilities and what their responsibilities are for reimbursing people in the event of utility caused damages. And this is an electric issue, not a water issue, but we had an electricity power outage. I called a repair guy. The repair guy came and said, yep, did you have a power outage? Yep. Okay, this control circuit got fried. And then armed with the repair bill from the repairman, I filed a claim with HECO. And HECO said, well, we note that you filed the claim, but under the Public Utility Commission rules, we can't accept your claim because it's been more than 30 days since the power outage. So I don't know if there's a similar time frame condition for the Board of Water Supply, but just be aware that even if you have an incomplete claim, providing notice to the Board of Water Supply in a timely fashion might be an important thing to do. Esther Kiana.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Mr. Nairos, for being here today. Your daughters had contacted me, so I am in contact with the Board of Water Supply. There was a trigger date for an appeal. And so before any litigation can be considered, he's going to have to exhaust that appeals process first. But I understand you have appealed the Board of Water Supply decision, correct? In a timely fashion. So short of any legislative changes at the moment, because he has filed the appeal, the Board of Water Supply is going to have to render that decision before further legal action is considered. But I was in discussions with the daughter while they're waiting for the appeal, because I don't believe this is normal circumstances. They're claiming that they could not have envisioned that it was going to break, right? But at the end of the day, but not for the water break, his house would not have been impacted, okay? So regardless, I think they need COCOA, if you guys know anybody with regard to legal counsel, so that they could help them navigate through the current process and through potential litigation. And I'm not, I have to condition that I'm not here to provide legal advice, but you can just kind of see the processes that currently exist and what you need to explore.
Mahalo. All right, well,
Bill, just
we wish you well. Evan Weber.
More than wishing him well, just building off of Senator Lee and Councilmember Kia Aina's comments. I know that Chair Lau is not here tonight for Transportation and Public Works, but it feels appropriate that this would go to their committee for potential resolution and action. And knowing that it does take time to move things to neighborhood board, it seems like if we can get on that this month, then by the time the appeal is over, we may be able to have something before the board for our next meeting to make the Kailua Neighborhood Board position on this and in support of our residents as it relates to Board of Water Supply clear.
All right, that's a good suggestion. This topic is hereby added to the Transportation and Public Works Committee agenda for their committee meeting next Thursday at 7 p.m.
Mahalo, and Mr. Nairos, and if you and any of the other impacted neighbors are able to and want to attend that meeting, it could be helpful for the committee in making sure that they can take informed action.
Yes, if you could use the microphone, please.
Councilmember Kia Aina mentioned that the reasoning behind the Board of Water Supply was somewhat strange. And if they can tell me where the next leak is going to be, we'll warn everybody and get the sandbags out. But my experience, I was flooded as well. In my experience with the Board of Water Supply, this is just information, I'll be quick. It was terrible. I couldn't get anybody to call me back. I called for about 3 days, different numbers. Finally, I got a lady in legal that brought a note over to claims, and the guy in claims, Lloyd, I can't remember his last name, called me. And I said, the only form I got to fill out from somebody that came out to look at the damage was so old, it said, print in black ink or use a typewriter. And I said, you have a PDF form, and he didn't know what that was. So, and finally, he found an electronic version, no one sent it to me, so good on him for that. But dysfunctional does not begin to describe my, what I saw with the Board of Water Supply on this issue. It's as though the claim, they could care less. That's my feeling on this. Thanks.
Well, that would be part of the discussion at next week's Public Works Committee meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Nairos, and that's my dad. I'm not the daughter who lived with him, but I'm the daughter who works at the legislature, and I'm very grateful that I was able to reach out with Representative Mike Lee and Senator Chris Lee to just listen to what our experience is and see what help we can get on our end. So I'm really grateful for their guidance in this, because primarily we've been feeling like we're all alone in this. It's unfortunate that the Board of Water Supply couldn't be here tonight, because I really wanted to express that water main breaks appear to be a frequent event. And I would like for them to remember that whenever people's homes are flooded as a result of these water main breaks, it is real families dealing with disruption to their daily lives, the emotional and physical devastation, and thousands of dollars in unexpected costs. So to absolve yourself of any responsibility after this level of devastation feels callous and unacceptable. So we really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us. Just wanted to put it on your radar. We'll see what happens in the coming months. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for your jumping in and helping to spread the word on this disaster. And at the end of the day, common sense is going to have its say. Donna Wong.
Can you say why BWS denied your request?
Yes, they said that because it occurred suddenly and with no prior history or indication of a potential rupture, they're not liable. So of course, we disagree with that. And I did send a letter on behalf of my dad saying we don't accept that determination.
Yeah, their notice to us was that they regret to inform us that BWS rep Danny Ornalis would be unable to attend this meeting, and they provided their monthly report. So no, it might be an independent coincidence that they're not here. But generally speaking, if their system causes the damage, whether it was foreseeable or not, it would seem from this non-lawyer's point of view that that's where liability should belong. And if the PUC rules that they have to operate under don't allow for that, then we would have an opportunity to be voice of the community and petition for it. And we could share that with other neighborhood boards to, amplify our voices if that's what it comes to. I don't know if that would necessarily help in this instance. I think you're going to have to go the litigation route, but for making us aware and making others aware, that's where change happens. When there's an obvious injustice, the rules need to be modified so that justice prevails.
Well, we appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Max Markridge, do you have an additional comment?
Yeah, just to clarify, Bill, the PUC regulates rules around investor-owned utilities and cooperatives. The only water utilities they regulate are privately owned water utilities. Board of Water Supply is a municipal utility, and so it's not governed by PUC rules, just to clarify that.
Well, that's interesting. If that's what it comes down to, then there are lawmakers who can create and modify laws if that's what it comes down to. All right. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Aloha. It's been almost 10 years since I've been to one of these meetings. The board got quite big. I have 3 concerns. My first concern, I was contacted by a relative that lives on Mokaku Boulevard. She's a deputy sheriff, and I'm glad the Marine base representative was here because her concern is the excessive speeding that's going on. And she's totally frustrated and doesn't know what to do about it. I'm not sure what the jurisdiction of that part of Mokapu Boulevard, if it belongs to state, federal, or county. But she did share that most of the speeding is coming off the base. My second concern is on Vana'au Road, excessive speeding again. For those of you that are familiar with the street, it's not that wide, and we have bike lanes on both sides. And I actually want to inquire what the process is to get the neighborhood to support speed bumps. I was against it 8 years ago, but I think the speeding is really bad and people are just not slowing down. And they're not slowing down when people are turning into their driveways, and it's very dangerous because they go around the person when they're waiting to turn. And it's just a matter of time before they hit a pedestrian or bicyclist, or even someone backing out of their driveway. The third concern I have is only revenue generating parking lot on the windward side for the city. And that's across the street on the other side of Kool Road where the affordable housing is being built. I went to the doctor last month and I almost tripped and fell. Anybody who's been to that parking lot recently, it's in really bad shape. And there's a lot of kupuna that go to the doctors over there, and there's a lot of holes. I have been calling around to see if they can repave it or resurface it, and I was told that they're in the process of surveying. And I'm not sure what kind of surveying they're doing. Are they redoing the meters? Is it environmental? Is it cultural? Is it zoning? I mean.
Yeah, right now, it's a cultural survey in advance of renovations on the parking lot that are planned.
So what I wanted to point out though, as I listened to the discussion tonight about affordable housing and no parking, there's no plans to expand or build up, I hope. I just found it interesting that they would have that kind of in-depth surveying to resurface, but are you aware if they're going to change the meters or?
Yes,
Oh.
the plan is to, as I understand it, is to upgrade the meters into a, pay by using your smartphone, and that technology would involve different meters. But my understanding also is an upgrade to the parking lot surface itself. I know Councilmember Esther Kiana is familiar with the plans. Esther, would you like to comment on that? Yeah, over here is fine.
Aloha Pohai, thank you for your items. I am familiar with all three. The specific part of the road you're talking about is actually the road to the back gate. That is city. Everything else is state. HPD has tried to do enforcement with regard to the speeding because everybody concurs. They are undertaking a study. They believe that speed humps may not be enough, so they are contemplating narrowing that road from a 2-lane road to a 1. And I actually called your friend and told her that. We still need kokoa from the base because all of the speeders are coming from the base. And so thank you for bringing that up. Wana'au Road, it's part of the Complete Streets, Kailua Complete Streets. So if you go to their website, there's something specific to Wana'au Road, and it's they're proposing 5 speed tables. I will follow up with them with regard to specifically why not speed humps. Normally, to get speed humps, you have to go through a process. But because they've already mapped it out, I'll just follow up with them. And then lastly, with regard to the Cinnamon's parking lot, I did follow up after you called. They didn't do a complete job. They did the beginning. I saw them, they did a little bit by the medical building, the big one inside and at the entrance off of Aulike, but they haven't completed it. The reason for the archaeological survey is because it's going to be significant improvements to the lot with regard to the removal of the trees. So they're going to go, it's going to go deep. And so clearly they're looking for iwi kupuna. So they're trenching the whole parking lot. And until that is done, no road improvements can be made. I mean, a parking lot improvement. So it's something I watch every day since I live there. So I see all the violators and, people parking illegally. So I just ask for your patience, and I will follow up with the Department of Transportation Services and Department of Facility Maintenance to see if they could complete fixing the other potholes because they're huge. Yeah.
Mahalo, Esther. I forgot that you live right by the parking lot. So they are looking for iwi kupuna.
Yes.
Yes.
One last thing about Banao. So what are they doing exactly?
It is part of the complete street. So right now, if you're going to just type in Kailua complete streets, there is a whole proposal for 1 Isle Road, and it includes 5 speed tables. And I was actually trying to, I'm not an expert. I don't know if we have transportation experts here, the difference between a speed table and a speed bump. But having said that, I would maybe connect you with Renee, who is the administrator for Complete Street, so she can tell you why they weren't going to do speed humps. There had to have been a reason.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Renee Espiau is a Kailua resident and very responsive. And Wakapu Boulevard, the city part of the street that goes right up to the back gate, we noted meeting about 2 months ago that HPD had not been doing speed checks in that section, and we'd requested that they do so because of the continuing speeding issues. Thank you. Any other resident and community concerns this evening? All right, we move on to mayor and governor reports, starting with Mayor Rick Longiardi's representative. Shane Enright?
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for having me. Shane Enright here. Sorry, my video is not working this evening. Director Jim Ireland sent his regards, but he was out in Kailua this evening helping our homeless population. He was out with our core teams and he was able to help 2 people get off the streets this evening. Please take a look at the mayor's newsletter. There's a lot of good information in that. And I will get to Gary Weller's favorite subject of Kapa'a Quarry Road. And the question that I was asked to follow up on is, can the city and state fix streams to prevent the flooding? And the answer I got back is the Department of Facility Maintenance is working with the state Board of Water Supply and Department of Design and Construction to come up with a solution to mitigate flooding. So I understand that's not a real answer, but I'm hoping I can get more for the next meeting as to what that solution is. So that's all I have for tonight, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Mahalo, Shane. Questions? Gary Weller.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. We did have this last week, a car that went off the road and it was in the water and the family had to get out of the car and it was a very bad situation. One of the problems with Kapa'a Quarry Road is there's numerous owners. And unfortunately, we have a law in the city and county that says that the road has to be given to the city in up-to-date standards, and nobody wants to pay for that. So the state owns a section of it. The city owns a couple sections of it. The school owns a second section of it. So it's a very complex situation. And I don't think it's going to be easily solved. But what could be solved is go back to always cutting all the grass, both the state and the city. Then at least people would know that there was water on either side of the road, which could be very dangerous because in discussing the story with the people that put it up on My Kailua, it was determined that they were avoiding a big truck coming in the other direction that forced them to go off the road because they were concerned about the depth of the water on the road, the family that went off the road. They thought there was a shoulder there, and of course there is no shoulder. So thank you again for mentioning it tonight. This is about the 5th or 6th accident on the road, and I keep on saying eventually somebody's going to die, and then maybe you're going to be sued because I've been so diligent on reporting this for 10 years. Thank you.
Lavani Lipton.
I just wrote my question in the chat if Melissa can read it.
question for DFM and parks. Is there a way to work with the Kailua Canoe Club to replenish missing sand from the erosion on the embankment adjacent to Kaelepulu stream? They want to work with the city to help replenish sand safely. There is a steep drop off from the embankment and it is a safety concern for paddlers, especially Kupuna and Keiki. And the second question is for DTS. Due to work on the bridge over Kaelepulu stream, there is a lot of parking that has been blocked off across the river. This has impacted paddlers who have challenges finding parking for practice. Any way they can open spaces during non-working hours.
Thank you, Levani, for the questions. I understand the second one. Just want to clarify for the first question, is that the area before you go on to the bridge to pass buzzes on your right there where the canoes are kept? Is that the area? And I know you're having trouble speaking this evening, so if you want, you can always email me later.
Yeah, Shane, I believe
Yes.
so. I got a text from someone in the paddling community, so I can put you in touch with her. But they want to work to replenish the sand because they said it's really steep and there's a big sandbar. So that's making it very challenging, I think, when they load the canoes and go to practice. And now the season is in full swing.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah,
Take care.
you're welcome. Thanks.
Evan Weber.
Yeah, mahalo, Shane. Just to kind of build off of the question from before about the flooding and what the city can do, I wanted to take a moment to commend the city for its swift action last month in Waialua and other parts of the North Shore in particular for acting to really address a lot of blockages and, basically the flow of historical kahavai from Malka to Makai and treating kind of what we all saw become a really intense emergency with that kind of spirit. I was involved in and have been involved in some of the recovery efforts, and I got to see the city's great work firsthand. But I think what we saw from that storm is like how the destruction of these traditional water flows impacts all of us and puts us all at risk. And so I think to get more specific with the question is like, what can the city do in collaboration with the state and what is it planning to do to restore historical water flows for all of our sake and safety?
Thank you, Evan. I don't know the answer to that. I do know that the city with Department of Emergency Management is working on after action plans following the 3 storms. So I will bring it to their attention and ask if that's part of their after action report.
John White.
Can you hear me, Chair? Am I coming in good, Chair?
Yes.
Go ahead, John.
All right, thank you, Chair. A community concern came to me by a Kailua resident. Well, I got 2. One, the streets are horrible. I agree with that. The potholes are a bit much. With the amount of property taxes, I think that's something that we expect is the streets at least to be in decent shape, but I give it an F minus, me personally. So if we could get some guys working OT on that would be great. And then another community concern, more of a request. I don't know if I don't know how much the city can do it this one, but brought up the fact that Kailua is the most beautiful spot on the planet, and when we come off the H3, you can't even see it. That may be a joint effort, but to maybe trim down the trees so as you're coming into Kailua, you can enjoy what it has to offer. as you're making that drive in. Again, might be a joint effort, but wanted to bring that up here. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Other questions and comments? Jennifer Barrow.
Thank you. On Kaipi'i Street, between Kaha and Kaimi, they did some type of, I don't know if it was a water main or what it was, but they put in a metal plate on the street. And I'm just wondering if DTS if you can report back to when that's going to be fixed or at least taken away so that people don't have to tromp over it every time they go down the street. That's my one question. And then my other comment just about Kapa'a Quarry is that I understand it definitely needs work, future work, but I think it needs a lot of work right now, especially in the potholes that are there. And also when the city and county Department of Planning and Permitting allowed the industrial park to expand, you know, I read the EA, the EIS, and it talked about that in 10 years after it came up that there should be improvements to that road because there was going to be increased traffic. And there is a lot of traffic on that road. So I think that that's something that DTS and DFM and everybody needs to look at. But ultimately, you know, they allowed this development to happen. And so I think the city is responsible for making sure that that's a safe road for everyone to use.
Thank you. Do you mind repeating the name of the street that you mentioned that had the
It's Kaha Street and it's between, it's Kaipi'i Street and it's between Kaha and Kaimi.
Thank you.
All right, other questions? John White, is your hand up again?
No, Chair.
Okay, any questions from the audience? Yes, sir, if you could use the microphone, please. Please.
Concerned too about that, the trees, you know, by the road in Kailua, you know, like when you're coming into Castle, oh, my bad. When you're coming into Castle Hospital and stuff, and a lot of the trees are hanging over, and if those trees break down, then that's yikes. But I just wanted to mention this thing overhead.
Trees and branches hanging from the overhead lines on Kailua Road, Kalanianiole Highway is the issue.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
All right, mahalo. And that overhang, at least on Kalanianiole Highway, is on telephone and cable lines, which are the low lines, not the power lines, which are the high ones. Any other questions tonight? All right, mahalo, Shane.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Next is Governor Josh Green's representative, Aaron Connor Jerome.
Good evening. Tonight I brought Governor's May newsletter, and it's here on the table and provided in the online Google Docs. It highlights the state's efforts to support cleanup with the recent storms that happened last month. With the end of session tomorrow, Governor is encouraging the neighborhood board members and residents to send comments to the office of the governor regarding legislation that was passed. There is a link that I can give you, but I feel I did email it to you this evening so you can share it with the board members, but it's governor.hawaii.gov/comments-on-legislation. So if you go to the governor's website, governor.hawaii.gov, contact us. You could submit comments on any legislative bill that passed. Governor will be carefully reviewing all of the bills before taking action, and those decisions will be announced at the appropriate time. And I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Okay, questions for Aaron. Donna Wong.
So when DOH sends out the environmental section, the clean water branch sends out these notices of any sewage spills, there's a section down here that says sign posted date. There's nothing on it. There's a sign type. There's nothing. And then locations. There's nothing. So the reader doesn't know if signs have been posted, if so, where.
Is that
and
from the
what-
email notification?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
I will check with Department of Health and see why they're not filling that out and providing that information.
Okay, thank you.
Donna, could you forward that email to me so I can forward it to Aaron, or else forward it to Aaron and copy me? Thank you. Other questions? David?
Yes, I understand the governor is trying to deal with military lands that on Oahu, I think the military occupies about 20% of the lands on the island. As we go through this process of evaluating the releasing of those lands as those lands expire, there are two major concepts in real estate that are very basic. One is called the broker's opinion of value, where you can hire a brokerage firm to determine the value of the property. And the other is the highest and best use for the property. And I would like to request that the governor provide for us a copy, either a copy of the broker's opinion of value, or at least go through the process of obtaining the broker's opinion of value before they get into any kind of lease agreements.
What was the second thing you said? Highest what?
Highest and best use.
And best use.
That's a little more involved, but that broker's opinion of value is pretty much a standard request that these large real estate companies provide at a fairly nominal cost. I think it would be very substantial in the military properties, but it's something that they're very proficient in putting together. Is that something that we could get a response from him on, that at least is being something that they're going to produce?
I will check, but I feel like Senator wants to chime in here.
Hi, David. The challenge with the real estate evaluation of the military training lands is that the main parcel undergoing the process of release is the Pohakuloa training area, which is conservation land. So a real property valuation of that conservation land under the typical real estate valuation format would value the land at far less than I think the community's opinion of its worth. The monetary offers that were put together in reporting on the Pohakuloa releasing issue when it popped up last summer were mostly associated with conversations between the Department of the Army at the time and the governor's office around a potential condemnation that was potentially being discussed by the federal administration. Subsequently, language was put into the National Defense Act authorization that required congressional approval of any potential condemnation in lieu of the actual DLNR lease process that the Army is required to undergo under state law. So for now, at least until the end of the year, that provision in the National Defense Act authorization stands. Any condemnation process needs approval of Congress. And so, as of today, that lease negotiation process is still with the Department of Land and Natural Resources. The valuation issue and the specific answer to your question comes after the Army submits and the DLNR accepts their environmental impact statement. So that conversation is going to happen, but they got to go through the process at the state level first. And it gets a little bit complicated on valuation because it's conservation.
I understand what you're saying, but at least let us have some valuation associated with, if you're going to get condemnation, you're going to get a value anyway, right? And if the matter has to do with conservation zoning, then the state should really be considering rezoning that area from conservation to something else, because we have the ability to do that, and we don't want to be losing this very valuable land for and or giving it away again. You know, we've already $1 a year leases for all these acreages, and we're just getting nothing for it. So the condemnation sounds like another theft of land or another land grab. And we get screwed in the process, obviously. So it's very concerning for me as a resident of the state.
All right, John White.
Thank you, Chair. I think just to speak on Senator, I think that's why he's the best choice for us in DC. He's very knowledgeable. Wish you the best of luck, Jared, on that one. For the governor's rep, same thing. The streets suck. Half of the streets are state and half are county. I wish it was just under one department, but we got to do a better job of that. As far as the residents are concerned, we got to drive every day to work. So help us with the struts and the balance and alignment costs. And then last, I would imagine it falls under the state, but this Lonnie Kai pillbox fiasco. I think we should we should grip down on that, because we got these crazy ideas about shutting down the loop already because of the tourists, and we shall never bend the knee to the tourist guys ever. We live here, they flew here, they gotta follow our rules. So let's come up with a plan, because they're ruining it. All these hikes, it's getting ruined by Instagram, and not just in Kailua, but I only speak for Kailua because I'm on the Kailua board. So thank you very much.
No further comments.
Other questions for Aaron tonight? From the audience, online? Okay, I've got one. On Kailua Road, the State Department of Transportation installed 2 new traffic signals, about 2+ months ago, one by the 7-Eleven, the other by the nursery. It seems as though they're physically there. They're covered up with black plastic bags with, you know, blue masking tape X's on them, but it seems like there's been an excessive period of time since they were installed and they're still not operational. Can you let us know what the delay is and when we can expect that these signals will be operational?
Yes, when I last asked DOT, there was someone crashed into one of the new poles they just built up, so they had to repair it, and then all the rain and storms happened. So I don't know their new timeline for completing the project, but it was supposed to be February. So I think it's been pushed back, but I will see what the status of the project is.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Next order of business are elected official reports, and we'll start with Councilmember Esther Kiaina.
Good evening. I recall last month I gave you guys an update on a district-specific budget amendments that I was able to secure, but we just had another budget meeting, and two items that I care deeply about is that the grants and aid program for the city is, I felt that there were so many meritorious organizations. So I was able to secure $2 million on top of the current funding, which would allow for 16 more nonprofit organizations to get funding. And the other one that I also cared a lot about was an effort to address the backlog at the Department of Planning and Permitting. It's no longer about technology and funding for people, it's lack of people, more specifically, lack of engineers. So based on the state speed task force, which I was on with the DPP director, there was a provision asking to work on workforce opportunities for the permitting processes. So I secured $240,000 to recruit 20 engineers specifically to deal with the backlog. And I'm hoping that we could start that. The Castle Foundation actually has a loan program. And so hopefully this would help the DPP processing. If you hadn't heard, we are improving the DPR, Parks and Rec is improving the outdoor fencing, both here at this park as well as Maunawili Valley Neighborhood Park. So they already started and they hope to complete it by the ending of May. And so as a result, these courts will be closed until 3 o'clock during the renovations. And in addition to that, painting will be occurring, but the buildings will not be closed. But they are currently painting the gymnasium, the recreational building, and the pool office, which with funds actually that was set aside for each council member had a set pot of funds. So that was used for the painting. And the model airfield, which is on Quarry Road, is also going to get improvements. With regard to North Kalaheo, the bridge rehabilitation, a lot of people are concerned about the traffic closure. So for anybody who wants details, I highly recommend you go to my Instagram or Facebook page. But basically on May 11th, the new phase for modifications will begin, which will involve Kailua bound travel lane closure. So just highly recommend that you guys look at that. And just lastly, wildfire mitigation strategy was a topic of discussion for our Public Safety Committee, which I'm vice chair. And, I greatly appreciated the Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization for being there. So was HECO. But I need to let you know that we currently don't have a community wildfire protection plan for the Windward side. And so we're in the queue, and I'm hoping to work with those of you who are interested in emergency preparedness to help work with this organization so we can have a town hall on fire mitigation. And that's my summary.
Mahalo, Esther. Questions for Councilmember Esther Kiaina? Donna Wong.
Are they finished with the archaeological surveys or research or digging or?
That's
no?
a good question. I am not happy. Because of the storms, they finished at the ending of April, but it is not complete. And so they are telling me that they're not going to continue the rest of it until the ending of the year or possibly the early next year. So, a lot has happened the last couple of weeks. So I will follow up, but that is completely unacceptable. And the reason it's unacceptable, if they don't finish it, they can't make the parking lot improvements.
But they can fill those potholes, right?
That is correct. Yes, they can. I was trying to fill all of them, and it was hard because all the island needed potholes. And so when I went to go look, only a couple potholes were filled. And so I need to follow up with them to fill the rest.
So do you know if they found anything in the trenches?
No. And that's not based on talking to them directly. All of the people in my building come and give me reports and said that they went and asked them. And they said that so far, no iwi kupuna had been discovered or archaeological artifacts.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions online from the audience? Claudine Tomasa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Following up with Councilwoman Esther in regards to forming a group in relation to wildfire management, I think our Public Safety Committee should take a look at this because there's a whole lot of problems that can occur when we hit the month of June with all of the overgrowth in our area. So, Bill, can you assign that to the committee? And thank you,
when
Esther.
you guys have that, can you let me know? Because I'd like to go as we build for the town hall. Because in addition to the community wildfire protection plan that's going to be ongoing, you know, I know Lanikai was active, but I don't know anybody else, but they're no longer. But we can also be a Firewise community program. And so this is what they do. They get funding and they help prepare communities. So anyway, if anybody wants to see the briefing, please let me know. My only disappointment was that Kamehameha Schools did not come. And I felt that as a large landowner, 1/10 of all the land here, they are doing good things, but they should have been there because government and private sector can't do it alone. Landowners need to be part of the solution. And here on the windward side, we have a lot of private landowners as well. And we need to hold everybody accountable with regard to fire mitigation strategies.
Thank you.
Claudine, was your suggestion to send it to the Disaster Preparedness Subcommittee?
I've suggested the public safety, and they can start from there.
Okay, public safety.
Yes.
So added.
Thank you.
Any other questions? David Laya.
Not a question, but an invitation and to thank you for making this wildfire protection plan a priority. Thank you so much about that. I chair the subcommittee on the disaster preparedness. And so I welcome any input that you want to
Yeah, I
incorporate.
would love to come.
Yeah. We're having an event on May 13th.
14?
13 at the Mid-Pacific Country Club.
What time?
I think it's 6:30-ish, but either way, I'll get back in touch with you about specifics.
And I need to let you know that I was in Maui. I just came back this afternoon. Senator Schatz talked about something that was being prioritized with regard to emergency management at the federal level, and it has to do with evacuation routes. So maybe I'll have my, and it's important for the whole country, right? But here specifically, including all of Kailua, but in particular Lanikai, it's an effort that everyone is now feeling that if people had better control over evacuation routes, separate from everything else, it'd be safer for our communities. So I'm going to try to find what that vehicle is, and then I'll bring that up when I got to check my schedule, but I'll send it to you regardless.
Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. Just as a reminder, we do have a presentation tonight. Senator Chris Lee.
Aloha, everybody. I want to bounce through a bunch of stuff, but I'm going to cut it down to a handful of bills in the interest of time. As folks know, tomorrow is the last day of the legislative session for this year. So it's been, the last 2 weeks have been especially busy. For our office, it's been, I'd say over under is midnight, pretty much every night. So it's be nice to return to a normally scheduled life for a moment. Yeah, just 10 p.m. tonight. That's like early. But I want to highlight a few of the bills. So thanks to the work of a lot of our colleagues, a few of those that we got passed that I've been involved with that I'd introduced for our community. One is on medical debt, which I mentioned before. We're now in position to send a bill to the governor that would not only set up kind of the next steps on this, but actually provide funding to be able to take the medical debt, the unpaid medical debt held by 50,000 Hawaii families. And these are families in many cases where somebody got cancer or had another situation that was not of their choosing, that now has medical bills that total, many thousands of dollars or even higher. that will never get paid off because they can no longer work, they can no longer just deal with it. And it's something that is saddled around people's necks, preventing them from having basic credit to get a car or to get a loan for a house, or, any number of things. This bill would cancel $91 million worth of debt for 50,000 local Hawaii families. And it is got to be the best return on investment I've ever seen in my entire time serving, because it's going to set aside funds, $500,000, to cancel that $91 million worth of debt. It will be life-changing for a lot of our local families in ways that I can't even fathom. Separately, we all know the cost of living beyond just medical bills is super high. I really want to thank Senator Keohokalole for helping to lead on an issue. As we know, there's a whole bunch of different proposals for how to deal with the cost of power. One of the things we did was pass a resolution that has some funding attached to it to basically do an independent analysis to look at, all right, what is the best, cheapest way to reduce power costs and move forward on our big energy transition. And so the difference here between one option versus another, and there are a whole bunch on the table, could be billions of dollars over the long run that our families would have to pay through our electric bills. So it's important that we get this right. And so putting aside not only the directive and resources to do it, but compelling that to happen in this moment, I think is really critical. Also want to talk about here in Kailua especially, as well as some other communities. We passed a bill that I introduced that would help stand up the kind of support in our community, the real, like, tangible nuts and bolts support that other communities have successfully felt. You got like Waikiki, there's other places throughout most major cities where you have business improvement districts and other sorts of organizations that can provide funding to hire people, usually local residents of the area, to go out and literally sweep our streets, clean things up, to keep an eye out and assist everybody else in the community on neighborhood watches, as well as law enforcement to keep things clean, to fix things, to keep a presence and create kind of a unified community collaboration. That's something that we haven't had here, but we certainly could benefit from it. Separately from that, there was a situation a couple of years ago at Ke'elipulu Elementary School where a neighbor who lived immediately adjacent went onto campus and cut down a bunch of the trees that kids would take shade under and eat lunch under. And ostensibly at the time, he had told the principal they were blocking my view. Prosecutors couldn't do anything at the time, so we ended up passing a bill this year that creates penalties for the first time for vandalizing and cutting down trees on public property. So there is now a misdemeanor offense that can be charged when that kind of just absolutely egregious situation occurs. And the last thing I want to talk about is another bill that would set up a series of conservation sanctuaries. And there's a lot of other places, New Zealand in particular, where years ago they started a predator fence sanctuary for a lot of the native bird species that were on the verge of being completely wiped out and going extinct, where they put in literally just a handful of mating pairs into this area that is safe, where they took out all the cats and rats and other predators. And over the last 25 years, these species have come back and then some, and it kind of acts like a safe space that spills out. So these species are now spilling out into the surrounding countryside and city, and it's been a huge win, so much so that New Zealand today now has 35 of these. So we want to really build on that model and help protect our local species and do more. So this takes those first steps to set that up. So that's really exciting. There's a whole bunch of other stuff I want to get into, including a lot of the capital improvement funds that we were able to collectively get for our Windward delegation for our side. I'll let some of our other colleagues talk about that, but there's some really exciting stuff in there. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you for the opportunity.
Any questions tonight for Chris Lee? Online? Audience? Okay, mahalo, Chris.
All right, thanks, everybody. Mahalo.
Our Representative Mike Lee.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, my name is Jonah, and I'm speaking on behalf of Representative Mike Lee tonight as his legislative committee clerk. Firstly, I would like to start with a brief recap of what we have been able to accomplish this legislative session. As the legislative session comes to a close, we would like to express our deepest thanks to the residents of Kailua and their input regarding community concerns and legislative issues. We appreciate the contributions that they have made to bills and how they have made their voices heard during this session. We would also like to thank Senators Lee and Keokohole and Representatives Martin and Matayoshi and their respective office staff for all their hard work during this legislative session and their service. After a long and fruitful session filled with intense discussion and deliberation, as bills went through numerous committees in both the House and the Senate and through conference committees, almost 300 measures are now on the precipice of becoming law with the governor's approval. We are grateful to have played a major role in the passage of many bills that will have a meaningful and positive impact on the community. This includes HB 2137, which Rep. Lee personally introduced, which establishes safeguards to prevent artificial intelligence from creating fake images of real people. Rep. Lee also co-introduced HB 2021, which ensures e-bike rider and pedestrian safety by enacting safety rules, including age limits, helmets, and operating restrictions, and HB 1973, which provides much-needed in-home healthcare and support services for approximately 25,000 elderly individuals in Hawaii. And this is just a few of many other measures. A more detailed recap will be provided with our upcoming newsletter, so please be on the lookout for that. Also, there are a couple events in Kailua to look forward to in the coming weeks. Please come join us on Sunday, May 30th, 2026 at Kailua Town Center for an all-day sidewalk sale, shopping local favorites, and enjoying all the good vibes Kailua has to offer. Finally, come join us for I Love Hula on Saturday, June 7th, 2026 at Kailua Town Center at 2 p.m. And that concludes my official report, and our office is open to any questions. Mahalo.
Okay, mahalo, Jonah. Any questions? All right, thank you very much. Senator Jarrett Keohokalole.
Chair, members of the board, aloha. I'd like to introduce a Kailua resident who has worked in my office as a legislative researcher. Her name is Bryn Jaffe. Why don't you come up and share real quick? She wanted to meet all of you folks, so I said you should come to the board and see what they do and picked a good week, so.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Nice to meet you. My name is Bryn. I'm a Kailua resident. And yeah, I've been working in Senator Keohokalole's office in session, where I've learned a lot and I've really enjoyed it. And this is my first time attending a neighborhood board ever. So it's been really cool to watch, definitely learning. So this has been a good experience for me. Thank you.
Well, mahalo for joining us tonight.
Thank you. And after this summer, I'll be doing a master's in public health at George Washington University later this year. So I'm just here for the summer more, but I'm always looking forward to when I can come back. So.
Well, terrific. I know that you've seen a very busy legislative session, and that'll prepare you for your next step.
Yeah, this is a good one. George Washington University, so big deal. Just two things I wanted to bring up. The first is the budget. As you folks know, we've had a stagnant economy. There's a lot of uncertainty that resulted in a need to reduce our state budget by 10% overall. It's a $20 billion budget, so we needed to cut $1.8 billion out of the state budget. Senator Lee is a member of the Ways and Means Committee, and that was their primary responsibility. Our position in the Senate was to do our position in the Senate was that the priority of passing a budget out this year needed to be preserving the income tax cuts that we passed 2 years ago. So we held firm on that. There was a lot of negotiation that went on, but for joint filers that make $350,000 or less, all of those historic tax cuts have been preserved. The budget was, the whole was addressed by cutting a lot of tax credits across the board. Some of those were quite painful and controversial, and then also eliminating vacant positions and special funds that had accrued excess amounts of money. So I'm happy to report that because as Chris said, cost of living is the #1 issue. And so those tax cuts were a big deal when we put them in place. So we were able to preserve, I think it's like 90% of them, Chris, like the overwhelming majority of the cuts. So that's a big deal. The only other thing I wanted to mention when it comes to the legislative session is a bill that I would like the board to consider lobbying the governor to pass. In years past, I have asked the board to take action on bills that were up for veto, like the helicopter. We had a helicopter legislation a couple of years ago. You guys rallied, and Governor Ige elected not to veto it, even though it was on his list. The one I would like you guys to all consider sending him an email on is SB 2471. And if you need greater detail on it, you need only talk to a board member, Weber here, who led a tremendous effort to try and get it passed. SB 2471, Senate Bill 2471, proposes to reverse the Citizens United Supreme Court decision that was enacted 16 years ago that allowed unlimited amounts of money to be spent in elections without reporting requirements and no limits on corporate spending. Basically, what it does is it reaffirms that corporations are not people. They are creations of state law that need to follow the conditions of state law in the corporate charter section in Chapter 414 of Hawaii Revised Statutes in order to be granted certificates of authority to operate commercially in Hawaii. And because they are creations of the state and are empowered with powers and privileges pursuant to state law, they do not have the right to speak the same way human beings have an inalienable God-given right to speak. So it reestablishes that the state of Hawaii charters corporations and sets the parameters and powers with which corporations are allowed to operate in Hawaii. Individual members of the public are still allowed to make campaign donations, set up super PACs, spend money on election initiatives if they choose to, but they are no longer allowed to set up shell corporations and shield their identity if they would like to engage in election activity. So that's Senate Bill 2471. It's up for final vote tomorrow. I'm confident it will pass. It has not passed yet. It's taken a tremendous amount of work to get it to this place. And if it does pass tomorrow, we will be the first state in the country to enact this measure. It's a novel legal concept, but I think it makes a lot of sense, especially if you're one of the 80% of the American public that believes that ruling was made mistakenly. So that's it. Happy to take questions.
Okay, so we don't have time for a board position. This would only be individuals, and this isn't a veto request. This is a don't veto request.
This is a please sign it, Governor.
Okay, Senate Bill 2471, and Evan, if you'd like to put a primer together, I'd be happy to add that to our meeting materials. Thank you very much. Questions for Senator Keohokalole? Online? Okay, mahalo.
Thank you, everyone.
Since he gave me a shout out, I just want to quickly mahalo Senator Keohokalole for his very bold leadership in getting this measure through. Like he said, we'd be the first state in the nation to put a limit on unlimited corporate political spending, which has really altered our politics over the last 16 years in a way that, like Senator said, pretty much everyone can agree has not been great. And Senator Keohokalole is alongside other great champions, really held the line to make sure this was a really strong bill. So yeah, it's tremendous leadership, and yeah, hopefully, you know, either he'll be spending a lot of time in DC, or we'll get to keep him around here soon. So either way, it's a win for the people of Hawaii.
Okay, mahalo. Representative Lisa Martin. Representative Scott Matayoshe. Tulula Samafua on behalf of Representative Jill Takuda. She provided an update, which is in our meeting materials. I'll suspend reports from members who attended other meetings, and we move on to a presentation, Oahu's Exceptional Tree Program by Navin Tagore, Community Forester of the Division of Urban Forestry. Navin, are you with us? All right. We'll move on to board business, individual motions. The Kailua Neighborhood Board will apply to march in the 77th Annual Kailua 4th of July Parade. Request the Neighborhood Commission Office fund the $155 application fee. This is an individual motion. Is it, Gary Weller, is it your intent to introduce this motion? Okay, is there a second? Donna Wong seconds. Is there any discussion on this motion? All right, call for a vote to make sure we know who we have. Emily Andrade? Aye. Bruce Andrews?
Aye.
Aye. Jennifer Barra? Aye. Anna Malia Kia? Aye. Kellyanne Kobayashi? Kellyanne? David Laea? Aye. Jade Lau? Lavani Lipton?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Max Markridge? Max Markridge?
Yes.
Yes. Kate Ryder? Kate Ryder. Kalama Sousa? Malai Tomes? Steve Trecker? Jeremy Treskin? Evan Weber? Aye. Gary Weller? Aye. John White?
Aye.
Aye. Donna Wong? Aye. Chair votes aye. The motion passes 12-0-0. The next motion is the Kailua Neighborhood Board supports participating in the annual Kailua Emergency Preparedness Fair at the Kailua Town Center on Saturday, September 12th, 2026 from 9 a.m. until noon. David Laea, do you intend to make this motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion.
Very good. Is there a second? Gary Weller seconds. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Are there any objections to this motion? Hearing no objections, this motion passes unanimously with 12 votes. Approval of minutes. Our Thursday, April 2nd, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Committee reports. Would any committee chairs wish to amplify your published committee reports? Hearing none, the committee reports stand as published. Committee membership motions. Would anyone like to request any changes to committee membership? None. Chair's report. Committee agendas for June are due to the chair by Sunday, May 24th. This meeting is adjourned at 9:56.